What are the signs of a broken man? The person that you are dating right now, how do you know they are not broken? The problem with being a broken man is that it is also similar to being a narcissist. But the difference is that a broken man is only reacting from the things that have happened in his past. However, a narcissist loves being in power. A narcissist do not care about people's feelings. They know exactly what they're doing and they're enjoying it to the fullest. And knowing this is such a difficult thing to understand, allow me to talk to you guys about the 4 signs of a broken man. 4 signs of a broken man. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to those of you who've been supporting us from the get-go. And for those of you who are new around, on this channel we give relationship advice. If this is something that you're into, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because we've got a lot to talk about. The first sign is about constant control. And the reason why they want to be constantly in control is because of the lack of trust. Maybe they've dealt with things in the past relationships. This is the type of guy who's gonna want to know everything about you. I mean, they're gonna want to know who's texting you. They're gonna want to know what time you're going to work, what time you're coming from work. They're gonna want to know and also tell you what type of friends you can or cannot have. They're gonna tell you the restrictions between the family members. They're gonna want to know everything about you as far as them controlling everything that you are as a whole. The minute you get in a relationship with someone like that, they automatically consume you. Because if they tell you to go right, you have to go right. If they tell you to go left, you have to go left. And what's crazy about that is that they do not understand the meaning of no. You can never say no to somebody like that. Because the minute you start to say no, they're gonna feel like they are no longer in power. And therefore, that's when you're gonna realize how bad of a temper they got because they did not get their ways. And whenever we're talking about bad temper, we automatically talk about abuse. Either it's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, or physical abuse. That's when they're trying to get you to do everything they say because they want to have that constant control. But what I don't understand is that some women find that very attractive. Some women think just because a guy is controlling them like that, this is a good thing. But if we're gonna be honest, this is not the type of control you want somebody to have over you. Because the minute they feel like they're gonna lose that control, they become another person. That's when they become abusive. You might not want to see the other side of that person. Because without them controlling you, it automatically means they cannot trust you. And this is a problem for them. And that's why it's always best to try to identify those things to understand that this person might actually need to seek medical attention. They need to talk to a professional. They need to see somebody who's going to help them unpack the things that they've been dealing with to help them understand that the person they are dating is not their slave. Because the minute somebody's trying to control you to the point where you cannot say no to them, it's almost like you don't have a voice. And this is not something you should play around with, because a broken man can also be a very dangerous person. So by you knowing the signs, it's always important to pay attention to them. The second one is the drug addiction. Anytime we're talking about a guy who's broken, we're talking about somebody who's always fighting their demons. Yes, this is somebody who's always going through stuff despite them not talking about it. This is somebody who's always in his head. This is somebody who's always going through things despite them not opening their mouths to express their feelings. Therefore, the only space they're gonna be free to themselves, the only space they're not gonna feel like they're in prison and their head, is by drinking or doing drugs. That's why you're gonna find a lot of families that have broken parents or broken dads to the point where every time you see that guy is always drunk. Is always drunk is because he's fighting something that he cannot understand. Is always drunk because he never got to the place of healing. Nobody ever told him that he needs to unpack. Nobody ever told him that he's sick. Everybody around him gonna judge him over the fact that he's always drunk or always doing drugs, but they do not understand that this person actually need help. And sometimes after being drunk for so long, after being a drug addict for so long, they're gonna send that person to a rehab thinking that this is gonna do the job. This is not gonna do the job, because they need psychological attention. They need to see a psychiatrist. They need to sit before somebody and unpack. Until they do that, despite the fact that they are going to rehab, they're gonna come back a few months, a few years back, they're gonna relapse. The reason for that is because the source of the problem never was tackled. The reason for that is because there's a missing puzzle that nobody seems to understand. And that's why it's so important to educate yourself and things like that. Because everybody you're gonna seem fine on the outside. Physically speaking, they're gonna look fine. Handsome, tall, financially stable. But by the time you get inside of their lives, that's when you're gonna understand the amount of trauma they are dealing with if you pay attention to the patterns. That's why it's so important to get to know the person in a deeper level, because sometimes a lot of you guys might not even know that you are dating a broken man. A lot of you might not even know that the person's reaction has a lot to do to the things that he's dealt with. Maybe childhood problems or past relationships, whatever the reason, this person is broken. And the only way for you to fix it is by knowing the problem, tackle the source, and help the person get to a better place emotionally and mentally. Because without that, it's going to be a constant problem. Because without that, without you thinking it, that could actually break you too. Because you're going to keep fighting something that you don't know anything about. At some point, without realizing it, you're going to also be broken. And that's something you should definitely think about. Number 3 is the insecurities. Anytime we talk about lack of trust, you already know insecurities are around the corner. Insecurities in a broken man is one of the deadliest threats. The reason behind that is because this person does not just go because it's jealous. This person is gonna make up stories. This is the type of guy, if you come home 2 hours later than the expected time, you automatically was doing something with your boss. You automatically was out there doing what you weren't supposed to do, because the time you were supposed to come back from work is already way past the expected time. Therefore, you've been doing something wrong. This is the type of person who's also gonna try to justify their cheatings. They're gonna tell you things like, since I know you've been out there cheating, I did my cheating too. And come to find out, you might not even be cheating just because the person is insecure due to things that probably happened in the past. They automatically assume just because you look good, just because you have a good job, just because you're out there, you're not next to them, you are automatically doing something wrong. And that's the difference between being jealous and being insecure. A jealous person most likely goes with facts. They're gonna see if they could put things together and understand maybe there are reasons for them to be jealous. But when it comes to an insecure person, that has absolutely nothing to do with jealousy. They are just crazy over the fact that they do not think they are worthy to be with you. They do not think of their value in a relationship or in their significant other's life. Since their partner could be out there doing anything they want to do, they're gonna play it safe. They're gonna just go out there and do what they got to do. Just by the time something happened, they're not gonna feel as hurt as they think they would be because they already cheated. And that's why an insecure person is somebody that you really need to talk to. This is somebody you do not want to give any ideas when it comes to their insecurities. This is somebody you need to stay in a straight line before their eyes as much as you can. Because any little things they don't understand, they are automatically going to assume the worst. And this is something, when you really think about it, anything could happen with that person, because they could be reacting over something that you didn't do and you ended up being the one paying for being innocent. For the final one, a broken man does not open up to anyone. A broken man does not open up to anyone. Whoever they're in a relationship with, it's gonna be almost impossible for them to ever open up. That also means they are not gonna be vulnerable. That also means they are not gonna take accountability for their actions. And that's a problem. Because in order for a relationship to survive, each person has to know when they are wrong. Each person has to open that line of communication to the point where they are vulnerable to each other in order for them to fix whatever situation they are going through in the relationship. But when it comes to a broken man, they do not want to do anything like that because they do not want you to see right through them. Which is self-explanatory, because if you're talking about somebody who's been controlling, somebody who's been addicted to drugs, somebody who's insecure over his head, this is something that's expected. They're not gonna want you to dive in and understand them as a whole, because at the end of the day, they don't trust anybody in there. They don't want you to ever see through them because they already think they are not valuable to you or the relationship. Because depending on how much hurt they have inside, how much baggage they are walking around with, it's gonna take forever for them to open up if they finally decide to open up. And sometimes people are gonna think it's just a man thing. That has nothing to do with being a man. The only reason they are reacting the way they are reacting is because they are broken. There are things that have happened in their lives that they do not choose to talk about. There are things that have happened in their lives that make them the way they are. And this is something a lot of people won't be able to understand because they do not know the signs of a broken man. My advice for anybody watching, if you are in a relationship with a broken man, you have homework to do. You've got a lot of things to do, and you have to do it in the most delicate way. You have to know how to approach this person and make them understand how necessary it is for them to seek medical help. Because a broken man today could be a narcissistic man tomorrow. And this is definitely something we don't want. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If I've missed something in the process, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.